I remember the night the stars spoke. It was many years ago, but the memory remains as clear as the river on a quiet morning. It happened in our village, Kijiji Nyota, a place where the elders said the sky was closer to the earth than anywhere else. The elders often spoke of Usiku wa Nyota zinazungia, the night of the talking stars. It was said that once every 30 years, the stars would listen to the cries of those who had suffered the most. If one was brave enough to make a wish beneath them, the stars would answer, but their gift always came with a sacrifice. That year, the air was thick with hardship, the rains had abandoned us, and the river that had given life to our fields was now a dry, cracked path of dust. Hunger gnawed at our ribs, and sickness walked among us like an uninvited guest. But for Obasi, suffering had come long before the drought. Obasi and his younger sister Zainabu had lived alone ever since their parents died from a sudden fever that swept through the village. He was only 12 when it happened, forced to become a man before his time. He worked in the fields, fetched water from the shrinking wells, and protected his sister as best he could. But Zainabu had fallen ill, some sickness the village healers could not cure. She was growing weaker each day, her voice becoming a whisper, her once bright eyes now clouded with pain. Obasi begged the gods, the spirits of his ancestors, and even the river spirits who had long abandoned us, but no answer came. Then the elders announced that the night of the talking stars was approaching. Hope flickered in Obasi's heart. If the stories were true, then maybe, just maybe, the stars would save his sister. The night arrived and the village gathered at the highest hill, where the sky stretched endlessly above us. The stars burned bright, like 1,000 tiny fires, and a hush fell over the people. One by one, the desperate stepped forward to whisper their wishes. A mother begged for her son to return from war. A farmer pleaded for rain. A blind elder asked to see the face of his wife one last time. Then Obasi stepped forward. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled as he looked up at the sky. Great stars, if you can hear me, I ask for only one thing. Save my sister Zainabu. Heal her. Make her strong again. Take whatever you must from me, but do not let her die. The wind stilled. The stars flickered, just for a moment. Then silence. The villagers murmured, unsure if anything had happened. Obasi remained on his knees, staring up at the sky, waiting. But there was no answer. Disappointed, the people began to leave. Some whispered that the stories had been nothing more than old tales. Others pitied Obasi, shaking their heads at his foolishness. But the next morning, everything changed. Zainabu awoke with strength in her limbs, the sickness gone as if it had never existed. She sat up, her cheeks full again, her eyes bright. The village gasped in disbelief. The elders rushed to her, touching her forehead, checking her breath, murmuring prayers of thanks. But Obasi said nothing, not because he was overwhelmed, not because he was in shock, but because he had lost his voice. From that night on, Obasi never spoke another word. No matter how hard he tried, no sound left his lips. He was not deaf, he could hear everything. But his voice was gone, stolen by the very stars he had prayed to. Some villagers whispered that it was a curse. Others called it a blessing, saying he had traded his voice for his sister's life. Obasi never complained, never wept. He simply accepted his fate and continued his life, working even harder than before. He learned to communicate through gestures, his eyes speaking louder than words ever could. As the years passed, Zainabu grew into a strong young woman, full of life and laughter. And though her brother never spoke again, she understood him better than anyone. Now, I tell you this story not because I knew Obasi well, but because I saw him live his life in silence, a man who had made the greatest sacrifice without ever asking for anything in return. Some say the stars had been cruel, taking his voice when they could have simply healed his sister, but the elders remind us that every gift from the spirits comes with a price. And on nights when the stars shine their brightest, some say they can still hear a whisper in the wind, a voice that was never truly lost but carried forever among the stars.
If you love the video, please like and share. Hit the subscribe button. Don't miss another video from Spirit of the Ancestors.